Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on November 21st, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of the data, today we had Canadian numbers that came out. We also have FOMC meeting minutes here. So FOMC meeting minutes, not much of a response in regards to the meeting minutes. Essentially, what we are hearing from Fed is that they are going to wait and see at this point. No, they're not ready to cut rates at this point, but they will be monitoring the situation, and if they see that there is a need to cut rates, they are willing to do so. That was their stance before as well. So they basically reiterated the same thing. So not much of a difference in that regard. Another thing that has happened today is that Congress has now passed the Hong Kong rights bill as well. If you may be aware, there's a big problem going on in Hong Kong right now between Hong Kong and Chinese government, or protesters and Chinese government there. And at this point, basically, both chambers of Congress, they have passed the pro-Hong Kong rights bill. And at this point, they are basically in support of the protesters and the democracy. And now President Trump has to sign off on this. Yesterday, was it yesterday when we saw that the Senate had passed this bill? There were some words from China, some comments that came out of China, basically threatening that this would not be a good idea for U.S. to interfere in the internal matters of China. And now this one goes to President Trump, and he needs to basically sign off on it, but that will create problems with the trade deal with Beijing. So we have seen several delays in regards to the phase 1 trade agreement being signed. We have heard several comments out of the US saying the trade deal is still, conversations are still continuing, trade deal is still on track. And today there were comments saying the wording of they're working on the final wording of the phase 1 agreement. But essentially, we do not have the phase 1 agreement in place yet. However, the market has been optimistic still. So we need to keep an eye on this situation, because if President Trump signs off on this bill, we basically are looking for problems in the US and China agreement. So we'll see how that goes, but I do suggest kind of keeping an eye on what happens here with this bill. Okay, so in regards to our news on Thursday here, we have ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. So if ECB sticks to their same sort of commentary that we heard from them before, it will not make any difference. However, if they make any changes, so if they make any kind of suggestions or any kind of comments in regards to being open to negative rates or anything like that, that could cause the euro to go down. Or if they are positive and they actually express more optimism in regards to the economic conditions in Europe, all of that will be then positive for euro. So we just need to see which side the comments come on. So we'll just have to be careful with this one. And then we have Bank of Canada. So last time we heard from Bank of Canada, basically they were talking about interest rate cuts. And with Governor Polas speaking here, if he continues on with similar comments, then we are looking for a further drop in Canadian dollar. So just keep that in mind. Some of it is already priced in, because Canadian dollar did drop as a result of the comments that came in yesterday, I believe it was. yeah, so if we hear similar comments, some of it will be priced in, but we could see a further drop in Canadian dollar as a result of that. Other than that, we have some US data here, but that's the main stuff coming out here. We have PMI numbers out of Australia and then core CPI. This number here will be important. For Japan here, this is the core CPI number, which is the inflation number here. If we see this below our expected number here, we could see Japanese yen drop as a result, and yen crosses could go up. All right, so let's move on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar here. Euro dollar is still trading in that range here. We did see the price dropped yesterday, but now it has, or today I should say, sorry, and now price has pulled back up. At this point, there is a rejection here that is shown by this pin, but there is still some negative, basically some negativity in there as well, some bearishness in the candle. So at this point, I am neutral on this. Price is still trading in a range, so we could see it go back up towards 1.1090, and if it holds below, I will look for price to drop. Or if price holds below today's high, even then I will look for price to drop. But do keep in mind that this could get pushed up a bit. So I would look for a bit of a pullback to the upside before it drops and fails at 1.1090. Now, ECB meeting accounts will can have an impact on this. So just keep that in mind. If it's positive, then it's likely to, euro's likely to go through. But if the comments are negative, we're likely to see a drop as a result. So at this point, my bias here is neutral for euro dollar, and I'm looking for a bit of a move up and then a drop here. Pound here, pound dollar, same thing. We saw we had a drop in the price, then it has gone back up. Now, over the last 4 days, it's just traded in this range. There is a bit of a pin to the downside, so we could see pound dollar go up. So keep that in mind. It could go back towards the high of the range. And if it doesn't go through, I will look for that drop once again. So price is still range bound, but we could see it move back up. So just be careful. Aussie dollar here, this one went into the resistance, couldn't get through, so we are back into that range. Now we are right in the middle of the range. We have a bearish candle close, so looking for price to drop towards the bottom of the range here, towards 0.6770. So that's where we are in the trade, still trading in this range. So bias is bearish, and only if it goes through the support at 0.6770 would I look for the next level, which is 0.6740. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one has been making its way up slowly, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of momentum to the upside yet. Price went up and now it's pulled back. So what I'm looking for here is a reaction off of this trend line. If it holds above, then I will look for price to move higher up. But if it goes through the trend line to the downside here, basically I'm looking for a retest and a drop. So overall here, price is still stuck in this range here. It tried to break out, and now we are back into the range. And if price holds below 0.6420, then we're looking for a drop back towards the bottom of the range. So right now, slight bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar, but if price holds above the trend line, then we could see price go back up. So just be cautious with that. It's still holding the highs, so I am not completely bearish on this. We just need to see price come back down, and then we could look for a move lower. So at this point, just be careful. Dollar CAD here, this one has been going up. A lot of this has to do with the Bank of Canada essentially being open to cutting rates. Anytime a central bank cuts rates or talks about cutting rates, that is negative for the currency, and that's why Canadian dollar has been performing poorly and US dollar is going up against it. So at this point, this is looking bullish, still a bullish candle. Yesterday, we were looking for a move up, so we did get that. And now I will look for a bit of a pullback here into 1.3280, and if it holds above, looking for it to go even higher towards the top of this level into this resistance. And this has proven to be a solid resistance. And this is where we could see price come back down from. So right now bias is bullish, but if it drops through this 1.3280 level, then essentially we could see price come back this way as well. But for now, bias is bullish, looking for price to pull back and then make the move higher. So bullish bias here for dollar CAD. All right, let's take a look at silver here. Silver, we have a spinning top here. This is a neutral candle, and there's no direction at the moment. It's slowly making its way up there, and we do have a bit of a trend up higher, but it's moving very, very slowly. Doesn't quite have that momentum. So what I will look for is a retest of this trend line. If it holds above, then we could see price going higher. But as we can see here, looking at our horizontal support and resistance, price is still in that range. It hasn't managed to break through. So if it doesn't break through today's high, chances are it can drop. But like I said, it has been slowly pushing higher. And if it holds that, then we could see price go up. So watch out for that. Bias right now is neutral, but if it closes above today's high, we're looking at 17.40 and then 17.65. So as soon as we see a break through the high, it can go higher. But if it doesn't break through the high, we're looking for it to drop. Gold, same thing here. Prices into resistance. We have a neutral candle. We have two back-to-back neutral candles. Price did try to break out, but it didn't sustain. So today's candle is neutral again. And if we don't see a break through the high, then I will look for price to come back towards 1446. So at this point, neutral bias. But should price go through the high and hold above, then we're looking for a continuation higher. This one here as well, we have a bit of a trend to the upside, but the momentum is not there. It's just very, very slowly pulling or pushing higher. And in cases like this, when we do have momentum to the downside, it could just slowly pull back and then drop again. So that's why I would be careful here. If it doesn't break through today's high, it can just come back. It could just roll over. So watch out for that. Oil here, oil has gone back up. It went into the support here and couldn't really go through. Price has gone back up here. Bias is bullish at this point. What I'm looking for here would be a pullback, potentially into 56.20. And if it holds above here, 56.20, looking for a move all the way back in towards the resistance at 58. So bias here is bullish for oil. Copper here, we have a bearish pin bar, so bias is bearish. Price went into the resistance, couldn't get through. We have a drop, looking for price to come back towards the bottom of the range here. This is another one that has been trading in a range. So right now, it looks like a lot of stuff is in waiting mode because everybody's looking to see what happens between US and China, what's happening with Brexit. Overall, we're just kind of waiting, and we keep hearing about this potential US-China trade agreement, and we're not getting it. So a lot of stuff is in waiting mode, and as such is range bound at the moment. So right now, this one as well, looking for it to drop. Bias is bearish. Target is 2.57 for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin is still looking bearish. Overall, it's still holding above the support level, but it's looking heavy. So we do need to see a break of the support for a continuation lower. So overall, bias is bearish. We have this trend line to the downside. It's just bearish right now. So looking for a move lower. First target is 7700 and then 73.80. So bearish bias for Bitcoin as well. Let's take a look at the equity markets here. So with the equity markets, we actually see a bit of a gap here in S&P here. And so this is the gap. And the reason for that gap is because the House voted on the US and China, or I should say not US and China, but Hong Kong, pro Hong Kong rights bill. So as a result of that, we have seen the market drop here. At this point, it could just go fill up the gap. We have to wait and see what kind of reaction we get from China. Yesterday, the reaction out of China was not very good. It wasn't overly bad either, but essentially they came out and said that we don't like this. So we do not want any foreigners to actually be in the, or say anything in the internal affairs of the country, and that was that. So they kind of issued a warning. But if they take, because now the bill has passed through both Senate and the House, the Commons, so now we got a problem, because as soon as President Trump basically signs it, it's a done deal. Now, we'll see what China's reaction is. So keep an eye on that. If Chinese reaction is negative, then we could see price drop here. So next target here would be 3070. But I think even though we've heard a lot of positive comments in the sense that US keeps saying, oh, they're working on the bill, they're working on a trade agreement on the phase 1 deal. They are getting closer. We are just, right now putting the language together, all of that. But the bottom line is there is no trade deal in place right now, and market is bound to lose patience at some point. So we could see this move unravel. But it's not quite ready yet, so we still have to watch. Right now, everybody, like US and China, are both doing this dance, so we need to just be patient and wait and see what happens here. But like I said, if China comes back and retaliates just with comments, we're likely to see this drop. So overall, my bias is bearish. We could get a pullback and then a drop. So my bias here is bearish. I will look for a pullback towards 3,100 and then a further drop here. 3070 is the first target. 3050 is the second target for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, this one also has bearishness in it. I will look for a further drop here. First target is 8,200, second one 8,140. Actually, let's make it 8,150. So bias here is also bearish for NASDAQ. Dow Jones here, this one is looking bearish as well. We could get a bit of a pullback here into 27,825 potentially, and then looking for a drop. Bias is bearish and looking for a move towards 27,550. So bearish bias here for Dow Jones as well. DAX looking bearish. Yesterday we were looking for a drop, so price has just closed just below that support level that we've been tracking for several days now. So bearish bias still. 12,980 is the next target here for DAX. FTSE here, yesterday we were looking for a drop. We got that drop. Now price is holding above this support at this point. The candle here is quite bearish, but as we can see, candle was quite bearish here as well, and price struggled to break through. So at this point, bias is bearish, but I'd be careful. We do not want to go into this blind. What I would say, or what I would look for, is the reaction at 72.35. If price does not break through, then it can go back into this range here. As we can see, price has been staying here for quite some time, so we could see price go back up. So watch out for that. But once we see a break through the support, looking for a drop. So overall bias is bearish, just with caution because it's into support. Nikkei here, this one is, today's candle close was neutral, but with the news coming out that the bill has passed, Now it has broken through the support level, which makes it bearish now. So as long as it holds below 22,980, we are looking for a move lower towards 22,730. So bias is bearish for Nikkei here. All right, so that's all I have. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.